Hello history fans! Today I want to share with you my top 5 history-inspired Crusader Kings 3 tall playthrough starts. A tall playthrough is one where, instead of just painting the map by conquering everything, you restrict yourself to a duchy or kingdom and invest heavily in it. The ultimate goal is to lead a realm that can punch way above its weight and defeat massive enemy armies by using a super effective but modestly sized force. I have decided to restrict this list to 1066 starts only, as the tall playstyle is inherently more viable in the later stages of the game, once you have the innovations to create and sustain a high quality army, as well as access to better succession laws. Let me know in the comments if you'd like an 867 start list. Number 1. Matilda of Tuscany. Having become one of CK3's most popular starts in 1066, Matilda is more well known as a springboard to forming the Kingdom of Italy, due to her owning a fair amount of land within the de jure kingdom. However, her skills, culture, and location make her viable for the tall playstyle in my opinion. Starting off as a vassal of the Holy Roman Empire, Matilda is skilled in both diplomacy and stewardship. Being unmarried, you have the opportunity to engage in a bit of eugenics to create the perfect heir. On top of being a great character, Matilda's capital is Florence, located within the Duchy of Tuscany. Whilst not standing out from a development perspective in 1066, it is among Italy's more prosperous counties and has a good potential to be developed further, due to the farmlands terrain it sits on. The Duchy of Tuscany contains 5 de jure counties, making it an okay-sized tall realm, although there are no other farmland holdings. To make up for this, Siena, which is located just to the south of Florence, has a special building slot for the University of Siena, granting you a significant development bonus. If you do get into an expansionist mood, you can always assert your control over the islands of Corsica and Sardinia. The latter has the Argentiera mining settlement, which should make it well worth it. From a warfare perspective, we shouldn't forget the Picchieri, a solid man-at-arms unit which is only available with the Pike Column's regional innovation. The Republican legacy tradition, which comes with the Italian culture, makes city holdings and the vassals that own them a lot more important, due to boosts in tax, levies, and even development. You also have a special ability to essentially convert single county vassals to republican ones by appointing them as republican overseers. The historical Matilda remained childless and the Canossa dynasty ended after her very impressive reign. But the cities which she ruled, like Florence and Siena, went on to become extremely rich in the centuries after, culminating with the birth of the Italian Renaissance. Number 2. Raja Vijayabahu of Ruhunu. Vijayabahu is not your typical tall playstyle character, seeing as his only standout attribute is his prowess, but the southern part of the Indian subcontinent is a prime location to play tall. Ruling the southern part of the island of Sri Lanka, Vijayabahu starts off at war to reclaim the northern portion from the Chola kingdom. To support you on this endeavor, the game has helpfully spawned in 4,300 special troops, which should be enough to beat the Cholas back and proclaim yourself king of the island. Sri Lanka's terrain doesn't have any farmlands and the development level is more or less average for the Indian subcontinent. However, you do start off with the Ratnapura mines built, as well as the university in the northern part. If you choose to restrict your realm to Sri Lanka only, then you will need to rely on these for the majority of your gold and development. On the other hand, if you want to make use of those special soldiers as well as the excellent cultural man-at-arms available to you, you can always cross over into southern India and take over the county of Madurai, one of the most developed counties in the world, comprised almost fully of farmlands. And don't let me stop you there. You can keep chipping away at those Cholas as their southern counties make for very lucrative conquests. It's worth mentioning that the Sinhala culture's city keepers tradition is also helpful, as it allows you to build guilds earlier in your cities, as well as a strong 25% reduction in construction time. Vijayabahu's realm became known as the Polonnaruwa kingdom, and he spent most of his reign fighting rebellions, but also went on to do a lot of building, especially Buddhist temples. Number 3. Duke Dirk of Holland. Dirk V is a vassal of the Holy Roman Empire. He is only 12 in 1066, so make sure to keep an eye on that region. As with most tall playthroughs, your main focus will be maximizing your income and boosting your development. Thankfully, Dutch is one of the best cultures to do this in CK3. Firstly, the Dutch have the bureaucratic ethos, which already gives you an initial development boost. Additionally, the agrarian tradition will give you an extra development bonus in your capital of Amsterdam, which already has farmlands. Lastly, once you get to the late medieval era, you get access to the Weerdijk's cultural innovation, which gives you yet another development bonus as well as reducing construction time in cities. On the tax side of things, maritime mercantilism will boost your income in coastal holdings. More importantly though, it allows you to build trade ports earlier, which will end up accounting for a big portion of your income, as the vast majority of holdings in the area are indeed coastal. It's also worth mentioning the polders tradition, which grants additional bonuses to buildings built in coastal holdings, as well as access to the adaptive militia cultural innovation. This allows you to recruit Hoedendag militia, a skirmisher man-at-arms. As a long-term objective, you can slowly expand into the lands around you until you can form the Kingdom of Frisia and even declare your independence centuries before the historic Netherlands did. In real life, by the late Middle Ages, the cities of this region had become amongst the wealthiest in all of Europe, rivaled only by the Italian city-states. Number 4. Farbas of Manding. The Keita dynasty, which is headed up by Farbas in 1066, is the dynasty of a famously wealthy 14th century emperor of Mali, known as Mansa Musa. Starting off as a tribal independent duke in West Africa, Farbas is also the only Muslim in the vicinity, making you vulnerable to holy wars. His stats are not amazing either, but you do start off owning all the counties in the Manding Duchy, although you are unlikely to be able to keep them all due to your low demesne limit. Talking about the Duchy's lands, they are not the most developed in the region in 1066, but they definitely do not lack potential, as 6 of the holdings, including the capital Niani, are floodplains, giving you the same development growth bonus as farmlands. On top of that, the Duchy is blessed with 2 special building slots for the gold mines of Mali, each of which provides 5 tax per month along with additional income and development boosts. To top it off, your capital is a holy site for the Sigwick Fate, so provided you convert, you can build a grand temple to get even more tax and development modifiers. If you want to emulate history, you can expand outward, eventually forming the massive empire of Mali. Musa undertook his famous Hajj to Mecca in 1324 and made a lasting impression on the way there with the size of his procession and the amount of gold that he brought with him. A lesser known fact is that the return leg was a far less lavish affair. With the gold having run out, Musa actually had to go into debt to finish the trip. Despite this setback, he is to this day renowned for his wealth and generosity, with his reign commonly referred to as the Golden Age of Mali. Number 5. Vratislav II of Bohemia. Bohemia is arguably the most popular tall playthrough in the game at the moment, and it's really easy to see why. Vratislav is a strong ruler, standing out with martial and stewardship abilities, as well as controlling all the de jure lands of the Kingdom of Bohemia, which means you can become a mighty king very early on. On top of that, you don't need to worry about realm splintering on succession, as your culture has the Table of Princes innovation, giving you seniority succession from the get-go. The lands of Bohemia are amazing as well. Lots of farmland, largely surrounded by impassable mountains, making this kingdom relatively easy to defend by positioning your troops at the mountain pass choke points. Your capital of Prague has a decent amount of development and has a university slot that you can fill in the future. But arguably more impressive is the Kutna Hora mining settlement, which is already built in Čáslav. The Czech culture has good traditions that you can benefit from, with mountaineer ruralism providing your quarries and hill farms with additional bonuses, along with the ability to recruit Zbrojnoš, a heavy infantry man-at-arms unit with bonuses in rough terrain types. The industrious tradition is also worth mentioning, as it can significantly increase development across your realm once you go on a building spree. Vratislav had a long and successful reign, managing to elevate his duchy into a kingdom within the HRE and brought significant prestige to his dynasty, which ruled Bohemia until the early 14th century. During this time, Bohemia was a very rich realm which exerted significant influence outside its borders, without ever significantly expanding beyond them. It's literally a textbook tall playthrough. That's it for this top 5 list. I hope you find it useful and informative. If you do end up ruling the tallest realm from Ireland to Cathay, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel.